We actually just got an update from the Vatican a few minutes ago about the Pope's health. He was admitted last night for what the Vatican described as a respiratory infection. And, we got the note this morning saying that he woke up, he had breakfast, he rested well during the night, and then after breakfast, he read some papers and he got back to work. So he did a little bit of work this morning before spending some time in prayer and then having lunch. So we're supposed to get another update later this afternoon, but right now it appears that he is improving and he's doing well.
Well, Pope Francis, who is 86, already suffers from a number of health problems, but he's previously said he's not too concerned about these.
Well, the Pope has said in the past, you need your head to govern, not your feet or your legs or anything. He has sciatica, he has knee problems, and as you mentioned, he's had one of his lungs removed when he was a young Jesuit due to a very serious bout of pneumonia. So he does have a lot of complications and really health maladies that are normal for somebody of his age. But he hasn't let that stop him in the past.
He's also said if he ever resigns, it would have to be for very serious health conditions. Is it the general feeling, though, that he'll continue in his post for some time to come, including presiding over Easter ceremonies?
Yeah, the Pope has also kind of changed his own position on that recently. At the beginning of the papacy, he said he's willing to resign if he ever felt like the time should come. More recently, he said that he believes papal resignations should be rare. They should be the exception, not the norm. So I think Pope Francis is here for the long run. I think he's here to stay. And, we're all eager to see whether he's going to be able to preside over his Holy Week liturgies, that begins on Sunday and extends into the Easter time. And so, we don't know yet what his condition will be, how long it will take him to recover from this infection, but I think he is hoping to be out of the hospital and back in the Vatican in time for those celebrations, and we're hoping for that too.
Yes, because it will be a very busy week ahead. Now, meanwhile, a founding member of a Vatican Commission on tackling clerical sex abuse has resigned. What reasons has he given?
This, of course, is German Jesuit Father Hans Zollner, who, as you mentioned, is a founding member of the Pope's Commission for the Protection of Minors. And this commission was launched at the beginning of Francis's papacy in 2014 as a vehicle to really tackle the clerical sexual abuse crisis. And it was sort of advertised and played up as a very strong and significant step in the Church's efforts to end child sexual abuse. And the Commission has done a lot of work, but they've had their ups and downs, and a lot of former members have complained in the past about the Commission being ineffective, or Vatican offices or officials sort of being unwilling to listen to the recommendations and to really implement them. Pope Francis tried to get around they tried to push back against some of that by making the Commission formally part of the Vatican's curial offices. It is now actually a part of the Vatican's Department for the Doctrine of Faith. And so I think the idea with that move was to bolster it and make it harder for people to maybe ignore recommendations or just refuse to act on them. And I think Zollner's resignation, he cited sort of a lack of transparency in terms of who's appointed and how they're appointed, a lack of clarity about job responsibilities. And he said there's also lack of financial transparency. And really they're just bureaucratic problems as well. So he said, I think this is just a long-standing frustration with some things that haven't gone so well internally and some things that have been shared by even previous members. And I think he finally reached his point where he said he's not going to be able to do it anymore. And it's sort of the ongoing struggle, I think, that the Catholic Church faces with some of its desire to change and to make progress, but also the inability or the slowness in some of its own structures and being able to catch up with those desires, if that makes sense.
So where to from now? I mean, Hans Zollner was the last remaining founding member of the group. Where does this leave at the Commission? Well,
Hans Zollner, for many years before his appointment to the Commission in 2014, and since then, he was already established as one of the Catholic Church's leading, one of its very top leaders in the fight against clerical sexual abuse. And so has his own institute that he's launched a couple of years ago at the Pontifical Gregorian University here in Rome. So it's this big new hub dedicated specifically to fighting clerical sexual abuse. So I think that's his next project. He's also been appointed to a commission for the Diocese of Rome in terms of child protection. So I think the commission is something he said he hopes to continue to work with them, but these two things are going to be his priorities going forward.
And going forward for the commission, what will they do? Will they fill his role, and how will they carry out their work now?
Well, they'll certainly look for another member. I think, obviously, when you have a departure of somebody with the weight that Hans Zollner carries, it's going to be seen as a hit towards the commission and towards their effectiveness at getting the job done. And that's been a big, long-standing question: is exactly how effective is that commission? You know, they have all these ideas and projects, but how effective are they? And so I think this is a big question mark for them in terms of how effective they can be. And I think they're going to have to answer that question. And I think when the time comes, they're going to have to appoint a new member. It'll be hard to bring on somebody, again, with the weight that Hans Zollner carried. So it's something they're going to have to figure out how to solve internally. But I think they're going to try to continue carrying forward in their efforts, and they're going to try to move forward as best as they can.
Elise Allen from the Crux, thanks for updating us. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.